Welcome back, everybody, to episode 3 of the KerbKast. I am so freaking excited. I'm so sorry about the clip thing, okay? That's my bad. I routed all of the audio to one fader on my mixer and muted that fader. That's on me. That's on me. But I'm super excited to have our guest today, Ribs Torino. Thank you so much for the raid, my friend. And friends, if you don't know Ribs was the first ever guest on this podcast. He is my guinea pig. He will always be my first. Came in with the raid. If you're not checking him out, you absolutely 1000% should be. So before we get started and before I introduce my guest, a couple more housekeeping things. And for those that are new to the KerbKast, to the podcast here. So I will have very limited to no access to chat during the podcast. I want to be focused on our guest, who today I'm just so excited for. I'll announce it in a sec. You already know who it is. But we'll have Stephen Frey. You'll hear his disembodied voice coming through. If you have any questions for our guest, make sure to use a highlighted message in the chat so Stephen could write it down and we can make sure to address it. There will be a 15-minute Q&A at the very end. So I am so freaking I can't hold it in any longer. Let me introduce our guest, DuoMTL, Platinum Hunter, variety streamer, all around amazing dude. And if I can get a warm welcome, Duo, can you hear me? Let me make sure you're not muted anymore. I'm so sorry about that.
I'm not muted. I should be fine now. Rookie mistakes. We're using this Zoom. I don't have a Zoom account, and this thing is like the lowest form of resolution it could possibly be. I don't understand why. But
it makes me look better, all right? It makes me look better. Just kidding. Duo, how are you? And for those in the chat that don't know who you are, give us just a quick, what is the elevator pitch of who Duo is? And more importantly, what the hell is MTL?
MTL is Montreal. It's the city behind me in this beautiful little vista we've got over here. But if you don't know me, I'm Duo, variety streaming trophy hunter. I do some cross-stitching on Tuesdays. We play all the games. We get all the trophies. And that is basically all you really need to know about me. I make a lot of weird faces all the time, as you can see from the clips I had before. But it's actually, looking back at those, I threw that together this morning because I totally fell asleep last night. Kerb asked me for a bunch of clips, and I just passed out after doing a bunch of stuff. And then I wake up, I'm like, I see a message from last night at midnight. He's like, hey, you got those clips? So looking through all those, my facial hair changes constantly, my hair grows out and it gets cut, and I am all over the place. It is ridiculous.
I mean, it's one of the things I appreciate about you, to be honest. Well, Duo, thank you so much for agreeing to be the guest today. I am so freaking excited. I live in your chat a lot of times. I'm probably one of the bigger of the lurkers. I smog my channel points, as you know. Those are mine.
Never even get. He just wants me to take shots, which is one of the clips I forgot to put. I was supposed to put the one where I'm basically choking on Fireball. It's my throat hurt, and everyone's like, "Oh, just gargle liquor." And then someone redeems a shot. He's like, "You want to know what? Fine, I'll try and gargle it." I try and gargle the Fireball. I almost died. Almost died.
Please don't die on us. We love you too much. Well, Duo, so as we know, this podcast is geared towards newer and growing streamers and trying to give a more real world feel of what it's like to be a streamer on Twitch or any other platform, but we're sticking with Twitch for right now. So friends that don't know, Duo is a veteran of the platform. I'd consider you a veteran. You've been streaming on this platform for 7+ years. You give what I consider to be the most genuine and probably most realistic approach when it comes to your growth and your time on Twitch. So before we get too deep into that, what made you start streaming? Why streaming? And when did you start?
Okay, well, I mean, hopefully it doesn't take everyone 8-9 years to hit partner. But I spent a lot of time squandering, not really knowing what I was doing and taking breaks and restarting. And then it's been a very long journey. So when I started with this, it's
I'm so sorry. I thought those were muted. I disabled the channel points. I'm so sorry.
I heard nothing, so it's fine for me. I don't know why you were freaking out. I'm like, what happened?
I disabled all my channel points, but I guess they did not disable. And they were, here we go. Boom, 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 disabled. You guys behave yourselves. Apparently, that's my bad. Duo, if you don't mind, I'm so sorry. Give it another go.
So basically, I was, the way it all started was I was working at a video game studio. I do video game development. And so the first game we were working on was Sans Foi. Okay. And I didn't do a lot of console gaming around that time. The PS3 was like really a weird console. Like I had it and I did have games and I still have a lot of those games. But like it didn't, like it was getting demolished by the 360. The games, I don't find any of the games really truly classic on the PS3. It just kind of existed. And so I didn't do a lot of console gaming. I was doing a lot more PC gaming. I was trying to ingrain myself in that community. I joined Steam. I got a ton of Steam games on sale and stuff like that. And we were making a PC game. So I just wanted to, get more used to that sort of stuff or get used to the platform. And when that was finished, this game was called Sans Foi. You can look it up. It's free on Steam right now. You can get it. It's like a hero defense, kind of like Orcs Must Die or
and can you spell
Dungeon
that for
Defender.
those in the class that don't know how to spell that?
Sang-Froid. Do you know how to spell sang-Froid? It's pronounced Sans Foi, but it's spelt sang-Froid. So there you go. Exactly like that, Jen. Exactly like that. Thank you. So basically, it's like a hero defense. You are an overly Canadian Quebecer that hunts werewolves in the middle of the night in a foresty winter area. And you look like like you literally all flanneled out. Basically, Kerb. Kerb is the guy in my game, just with the glasses. There must have been glasses back then. It was like the 1800s, but there you go. He is T. Joe. He is T. Joe. So, anyways, when
so you
that
started
was
developing
done,
this game.
yes. There's a very key point to this. Okay, I worked on that game for like 3-4 years, but I was on contract, and when the game finished, the way my contract worked is I got a large sum of money that was kind of like back wages that only I was going to get paid when the thing was done. Okay, it was about 10 grand, which isn't even that much. But this is a long time ago. This was 2013, so it was almost 10 years ago. 10 grand, not bad, especially when you're like 23.
Oh, when you're 23, that 10 grand's huge.
23, 24 is great. So I basically, when the game ended, they weren't working on a new game just yet. And when they did start working on it, it was a 2D game anyway. So I didn't really have much to do. I was a 3D animator. I could do some testing. I did a little bit of design, but I mean, like, there were already too many people and there was no work. So I didn't have a job. And I didn't start doing any, I basically partied and did jack shit for like about 9 months. And wasted all of that money. If I did it over again, I would definitely invest that money, or I would definitely get a part-time job a lot sooner instead of just wasting 10 grand. But when you're young, you make stupid decisions. Now, I got a job at Chapters, which everyone knows I worked at a bookstore for a very long time. Okay. I worked there for like 7 years, and that was part of my streaming journey also. I mean, like I feel like I'm a much better streamer because I worked retail. Because like you just interact with so many people, and I love that store, and their main draw to that store, like the way that they tell you to interact with people is by storytelling. And being a streamer, storytelling is very important. Like we're always telling a story. You have to wrap that in. Like whenever you're playing a game, it should remind you of something in your life. Like the game we made, Sans Foi, my boss came up with the idea for it because he lived in Thailand for 6 months, and he lived in this random house that he rented that was in the middle of like a forest. And so he would take a cab to get to the city because it was dirt cheap in Canadian money compared to whatever the currency was over there. This is like 20 years ago. And so a shortcut to get there was going through the forest. And there would be like, wolves or dogs, like not wolves, but dogs. No, not wolves.
Sounds
dogs.
intense.
There would be dogs, stray dogs that just lived everywhere, right? And so he would always carry around a stick to try to intimidate them, because basically they are more afraid of you than you are of them. So if you're able to intimidate them more than they intimidate you, they'll leave you alone. And so that actually came up with the entire fear factor, like a system we used in that game to you wanted to intimidate your enemies so that they wouldn't attack you right away, because you'd be surrounded by like a bunch of wolves, but you'd have a bonfire, you would scream at them and stuff like that. And it would keep them at bay while you attack them or something like that. So like a lot of video games,
the game that you worked on,
yes,
before. So this is before the bookstore, though,
before
right?
the bookstore, but I mean, like, I'm just trying to tell you how video games are made because of stories, because of experiences. So everything you do when you're streaming like video games should remind you of something that maybe happened in your life, or something is a talking point. Like sometimes people, like, maybe it's not for everyone, but you should be talking constantly when you stream, only just because if you're not talking, it doesn't encourage anyone else to be talking. People be like, oh, I need a lit chat to start, to be able to stream, because like, it's just, of course, it's a lot easier to chat with a lit sorry, it's a lot easier to talk with a lit chat. But I mean, like that doesn't always happen. I can have like 60 people here, and sometimes chat is just dead. And if I'm not talking, that's not going to encourage anyone else to speak up also. So, I mean, like if you're not noticing something in a game that reminds you of a story in your own life, then, you know, it's hard to come up with things to talk about. And when you start telling a story, it might relate to someone else, which means they might tell their story. And then that just, you know, snowballs into a great conversation for a stream.
Yeah.
Anyways.
So you were already storytelling before you even went live for the first time.
Sort of. I worked there for 7 years. I wasn't always as good as I had been. Like by the end of it, I was like a veteran at that bookstore. But anyways, so me and Big Steak. Okay, he wasn't called Big Steak back then, but
he's still Big Steak in my heart, though.
He's always Big Steak in your heart. Technically, his first name was Big Snake 69.
Nice.
And that's only because of a random name that he got from like Google. Like the Google Play Store, like the game store or whatever. They gave him a randomly generated name. It was Monstrous Cobra 690. So Monstrous Cobra doesn't like, it was too long. So we switched it to Big Snake. Anyways, so we decided we were going to do a podcast about video games. So we did a podcast. You can actually still find it if you want on YouTube. It's called Gamer Jargon. And we did like a year or 2 years. There's like 50 something, 60 episodes of that. We did a weekly. And basically it was just us getting drunk in my basement talking about video games and the beers we were drinking. It was great. But so I wanted to evolve the podcast into a stream also. I wanted to make it a bigger thing. It was called Basement MTL. Okay. Or because I was in my basement and the MTL, I just had MTL in my name all the time. DuoMTL, Basement MTL. My old freaking email was duckman007_MTL.
Make sure to send the emails there.
Yeah. Well, you have to try to figure out which at it's for. But anyways, so the MTL was always there. That's because of my dad. He's like, if you can't get the name you want, just put MTL at the end. It's perfect. You're from Montreal. I mean, like people used to be called, Jesus of Nazareth. He was from freaking Nazareth. And like, it's just the way names work. So I wanted to evolve it into a stream. The PS4 was coming out. They were talking about, being able to live stream directly from the PlayStation. And I didn't have a capture card. Like capture cards weren't, like they were a thing, I guess, but they were a lot more expensive. My computer wasn't very strong, so I didn't want to stream from my computer, and I didn't want to stream PC games because I much prefer playing console games. It's what I like, and I was always super jealous when the PS3 came out. It didn't have trophies, never had trophies. The 360 had achievements, and they're the ones that started it, right? And I worked at a video game store at the time of that launch, and I used to play 360 all the time. Like I have a 1000 G score in AMP3, which is one of the launch titles of the 360. And so when the PS3 released with trophies, I got like super hyped. I got
PS4,
like my first, the PS3.
Oh, PS3. You're right.
Yeah, and it like the first platinum I have is Uncharted 1. Like because that was like all the games didn't have trophies back then. Now they're mandatory, but back then they were patching them in because it was like a year or two into the life cycle of the PS3. And so when the PS4 was coming out, I'm like, okay, I want to stream. I can stream directly from that. I'm going to get a camera because you got to see the person's face. Like you can stream without a camera. It's not the worst thing ever. I mean, like if you're entertaining with what you're talking about and stuff like that, that's cool. Do what you want. For me personally, I think it is very key to have a camera because you can make proper eye contact. People can actually see you. They can make a connection with you. You feel like you know me because you can see me. That is my personal standpoint on that. But I mean, like, there's different strokes for different folks. You can do what you want. That's just from my experience. And so
especially if you're just getting started and you don't have a camera, it doesn't mean that you can't stream, right?
No, of course not. I mean, like,
but you wanted one, is what you're saying.
I wanted one. So I picked one up right away. And it was really funny because after the PS4 launched, they were fucking hard to find. And I got one right at the launch, but then afterwards, like everyone wanted, like, well, not everyone wanted to stream. Back then it was a lot less. Like now, like now you said, like the stat that 60% of people in a Twitch chat are typically streamers themselves also, right? So there's more streamers that you see than there are non-streamers, right?
Very true.
But back then it wasn't quite as much, I guess. So I mean, like I was streaming on the PS4, it was new. I was playing Knack. One of the launch titles. And the only reason I bought it is because I got like a really big discount on it. It was a really fun game. Like, don't diss Knack, but like it might not.
Why don't I know what Knack is?
You don't know what Knack is?
Yeah, why don't I know what Knack is? I'm like sitting here trying to think about it.
It looks like a Pixar movie. It's super cute, and like it's like a hack and slash platformer.
Oh, awesome.
So a little bit more combat than Mario, but a lot less platforming than Mario.
Mm-hmm.
but it's like, it's an in between. It's a good game. It's a lot of fun, but definitely at like 30, $40 is a lot more fun than at 60 or 70.
Yeah, this is true.
So anyways, so I had like on the PS4, when you stream directly from the console, you cannot remove the view count. So I always saw what my view counter was. And so, I mean, like sometimes I'd have like 70 people there, but this was in the launch week or two of the PS4. So obviously it's a little bit more popular. And I also attribute to the fact that when you're streaming on console, like you are directly on the console. If you had friends on the console, they would see that you were streaming. If you're in the store, it would show, live streams of this game. If people are looking at this game, you go check out this live stream directly on the console. So, I mean, like it helped with discoverability also at that point too. And so, I mean, like, sometimes I'd have like 70 people there and I'm playing knack and I'm like, this is the first time I've ever, like it was new. I've never done this before. And yeah, it was interesting. So that's how it basically started.
So you
we
started
had this podcast
right at a console.
Right at the onset of the console. This was like 2013. Like if you look at my oldest videos, there was no clips back then. It had to be highlights. My oldest highlight is from like 2013 of me and my cousin playing Hearthstone. It's like the only PC game that I played before I think the launch of the PS4, and then like there's no highlights for anything like that. I think the next one's like 2015 of like me getting a Jeep stuck in Metal Gear Solid 4 or something like that.
So you were saying, so you started it off because you were
Gear
in
Solid
between
5,
the jobs, right? Is what you're saying? It was between your development.
I was
and the
between my jobs. So we started a blog, we started a podcast, we were writing articles. Like I still have some of those articles on my PC somewhere. I don't think the website's live anymore. Maybe there's like a free version of it, but definitely the podcasts are there. But basically it was just like a bigger network. We wanted to have a website and the blog and the podcast. And then we would start streaming and stuff like that. It was like a big gamer thingy, but it never ended up going anywhere. And I put a lot of effort into it, but all the other stuff died, but I continued streaming.
And we were talking about it a little bit before the podcast. So you started streaming 2013 with the console, and then you said that you were a little spotty and you didn't actually start being more consistent with it until a little bit more recently, right?
3 years ago,
about 3 years ago.
So I got a lot more consistent in 2019. So basically for like between 2019 and 2013, those 6 years, it was a lot of like stopping and going. Like, people always like throughout this entire 3 years, I've seen a lot of streamers come and go because that's just what happens. I just happen to keep coming back. It's like a bad rash.
Can't get rid of this duo rash.
Exactly. And so like I would like the hardest thing for me, the thing I struggled with the most was game selection and anxiety and mental, like the whole mental health behind streaming. It is a very difficult thing. And I know a lot of people deal with it. I'm still dealing with it now. Like, you don't know. I was talking to someone recently, a couple of days ago, about their struggles and then be like, yo, you're not alone. Like I've been going through the same stuff too. And I told them a little bit about what I've going through. And I've always had to deal with this because variety streaming is a very tough thing to grow and do. And so like Kerb said before, I had like this very long process of growing my stream. And when you're variety streaming, sometimes it's like that. Sometimes if you're playing the exact same game, it might be easier to find the community around it because, you play one game, the people are there for that one game. They happen to like you enough that like that combo, they will keep coming back for that. Right. But in variety streaming, when you switch games, you switch demographics, and sometimes people will like you enough to come back for you, but that doesn't always happen. And you have to be okay with that. And I have been, like you have to understand this and you have to be okay with it. That sometimes when you switch games, people sometimes won't come back. Like if you had like 20 people there that were just there for that one game, maybe only 10 will come back. Maybe only 5 will come back. Maybe only 1 will come back, but you never know. You might play another game in 3 months from now that they happen to like, and that other person will come back there. They might still be following you. Maybe they might unfollow you, but like switching games, the very difficult thing. And my anxiety came with game selection because you always want to grow. That was my mentality.
You always want an upward trajectory, right?
Yeah, exactly. So you're always trying to play something that's somewhat popular, but then you're spending a ton of money buying new games, which isn't always feasible. So then you look back at like backlog games, but sometimes games are in the backlog because you don't truly want to play them. You just happen to own them.
You got them in a humble bundle or whatever.
Yeah, something
but
like
before
that,
you go
right?
too far, because you brought up a really good point, and this is something that can be self-sustaining, but is not necessarily always, but you predate the affiliate program.
Oh,
so
yes, that's true.
Even when you were streaming as often as you were. Yeah, exactly. So
I would stream when I started streaming. There was no affiliate program. The only way to make money on Twitch was if you were a partner. So, I mean, like I had zero motivation of making money on Twitch unless I made it really big when I started. So I like, it was literally out of my mind. Like a lot of people start streaming now. I was like, man, these people make so much money. I can do this. This is not hard. So they start streaming and like, they don't realize how absolutely hard it is, not just mentally, but like all the stuff, all the work that goes into it. It's not obviously just going live, but I mean like going into this just because you possibly could make a lot of money and that's your main motivator is not necessarily a good mindset to jump in. And I know a lot of people know that, but there's definitely a lot of people that start streaming with that as their main goal. And it's like, that's just going to destroy you internally, because when things don't work out the way that you want, if you don't have a true passion for what you're doing, then like it's like the passion is what keeps you going, not the money.
Totally. And because there was no affiliate program or anything, because even like as an affiliate, which is still a milestone, right? 50 followers, sure. Average viewers and everything. And you do start making a little bit on the side with the bits and the things. It totally helps. And then it can fund your games, right? Like a majority of what I make goes right back into the streaming. But you didn't have that opportunity. So you were a variety streamer. You were platinum hunting, but then you also weren't gaining any capital back, right?
Back then I did do a little bit of trophy hunting, but it wasn't necessarily my main focus. I was just playing games, but I did platinum knack, but I can't remember what I played necessarily directly after that. But see, the thing is, so I would play games and I would be probably good for about a good 6 months. And then I would get this anxiety inside of me that it's like, it would make me stop playing video games. I would be like, well, I kind of want to play a video game, but if I play a video game, I might as well stream it. But if I stream it, then I would always only ever stream for like whenever I stream now, it's like at a minimum 4 hours. And that's only cross stitching because it's a Tuesday night. Like Monday, Wednesday, a Friday night or a Saturday, even Sunday, it's minimum like 5 hours. Because
you have
I
some
always
longer
found,
streams.
I always found that like the longer you're live, like even now, like I hit my average like after 2 hours. Sometimes like if my average is like 85 or whatever, I might end the stream over 100 people, but like the first 2 hours is getting up to 85. And then the next 6 hours or 5 hours or 4 hours is being over 85 to bring my average up to actually 85. Like sometimes, so I mean, like there's no point streaming 2 hours sometimes. And I had this in my head that it's like, well, if I'm going to play a video game, I might as well stream it. But if I'm going to stream it, I have to stream for a certain period of time. And I'm like, I don't really feel like doing that. And so like, I just stopped playing video games. Yeah, I just stopped playing video games. And
which, as a game developer, you want to be playing video games, right?
I'm surprised how many video game developers don't actually play any video games sometimes. I mean, like life is
my brain.
Sorry?
I said that boggles my brain.
Yeah, no, some people don't play video games at all. Like they're like programmers or whatever, they do their job. Like if you're a designer, it's probably very key that you play a lot of video games because you want to see what other games are doing. But I mean, like as an artist, as an animator, like it's not necessarily like whenever I dev'd games in a bigger studio and like I play a lot of video games. If I see something that doesn't look right or anything like that, I always bring it up with somebody and they're like, oh, that's a really good idea. Because like I fucking play video games. I know what the hell I'm talking about. And they're always like, it shows off. But other people, they just do their job and they don't play video games or they don't play a lot of video games. And they just, they just go with the flow very simply.
To kind of circle it back to the variety streaming. So one, you were a game developer this whole time. When did you decide to start platinum hunting and using that as part of the variety streaming? And like, when did you start? This is going to be kind of a compounding question. And you said a few years ago, like three-ish years ago, you started taking it more seriously. Right?
Well, so when I started taking it more seriously, it was when Kingdom Hearts 3 was coming out. Kingdom Hearts was like a very big series. I know you're playing it now on Mondays.
Yeah, it's my first time.
Yeah, well, I mean, you played it back in the day, no?
I didn't beat it, but yeah. Yeah, I did try it out as a kid. Apparently, I was never good at beating video games as a kid.
So when I played Kingdom Hearts when I was a kid, I friggin' loved it. Kingdom Hearts 1, Kingdom Hearts 2, I played Chain of Memories. I used to go on forums to look at like, theories about what the hell is the story talking about, what the next game is going to be like and all this other stuff. Like I loved Kingdom Hearts. It was a great series to me, even if it was convoluted and everyone thought the story was stupid, weeby, weird bullshit, but it's fine. I loved it. Didn't matter. I loved the mix of Disney and Final Fantasy and all this other stuff. It was amazing. Okay. And so Kingdom Hearts 3 was coming out. It's been like 10 years, 15 years in the making. Like, how long did that game take to come out compared to Kingdom Hearts 2? I think Kingdom Hearts 2 came out in like 2005, something like that, 2004, 3. So it's like 15 years between main games. And I never played any of the side games. So I was like, I'm going to play every single one of these games because they came out on PS4. They came out as like the
bundle, right?
As the bundle.
Yeah.
Right? All the bundles. I bought every single one of those. I played the first one, then I played Chain of Memories, then I played the second one, and then I played before I got into the second one, I think I looked at the video of the 358 and a half days. And then I played Birth by Sleep for the first time, which was amazing. Birth by Sleep was amazing. I played Dream Drop Distance, which was the way it handled everything. They learned from their mistakes from Birth by Sleep, but it was just so well done. And then I played Kingdom Hearts 3. And like all of it together, like that's basically what got me like I was doing that one big series as my stream, and it got me to like I started like prior to that was at the beginning of 2019. I rarely watched Twitch. Okay.
Oh, really?
I rarely watched it. I didn't really follow anyone. Like when I started watching more Twitch, I didn't really follow that many people. I followed like my friend Rico Kuser. He just came back to streaming. His PC was borked for like a year. I went to high school with him. And he started meeting a couple of people, and then Big Steak was there too. All three of us friends from high school. And so we started just chilling with some people that he met on the platform that we became friends with. And I'm like, this is enjoyable. These are my, I tried to be, I became friends with these people. Like there were people I saw regularly. And so we started, meeting more people, becoming, more friendly, growing an actual community, building an actual community, which is not something I did in the last 6 years prior to me playing Kingdom Hearts. And so, people would come, we would watch, I would meet more people. And then, then I just took it. It was easier to take it more seriously. It was easier to stay consistent because I had friends, I had a community, I had people, like I had people before that would always come into my stream. I had this one guy, I still remember him. I made him a mod for a long time. His name was Leafy. I have not seen that guy in years. If he ever pops into my stream, I'd be like, oh my God, Leafy, how have you been? I haven't seen you in like 6 years. Like sometimes every once in a while when I'm doing a very special stream, like sometimes I do reactions to like PlayStation showcases or whatever.
Yeah, the showcase
I've seen
events.
people pop in that have been following me since like 2015. I'm like, because like if someone pops in that I don't recognize their name, I click their name in OBS to see if they're following or to see if they've followed before. And sometimes I see 2015. I'm like, holy shit, you've been following me for a very long time. It's nice to see you. I don't recognize your name, but I mean, like, I appreciate you being here. What's up? But usually they pop in, just because I'm doing something very different.
Yeah.
But it's just interesting, right? That, I've been around for so friggin' long. And like, there's only there are some people that I remember. I remember this guy named Yo Gaza. He's been around for a very long time. And I mean, he doesn't pop around anymore. Maybe he lurks, but he definitely doesn't chat. But sometimes people are like that, when you get a big, people only like hanging out in small streams or chatting in small streams because it gets too hectic after a while. But what was your question again?
Oh, yeah. I was super invested in this. I'm not going to lie. I was like, we got to go find Leafy right now. Yeah. Everybody go find Leafy. No, I'm just kidding. We're not going to sit on witch hunt. But what we were getting to, so you started taking this seriously because of the Kingdom Hearts series, and you started playing all the way through. Were you platting those two? I'm curious of when the platinum hunting became such a part of you.
I was going to get to that, but I totally forgot as soon as we went off on the tangents. So, like I said, I got into achievement hunting pretty much right away as soon as it existed on the 360, right? And when it came out on PS3, I loved it. Okay. Now the thing with trophy hunting is that sometimes you can burn yourself out, and I was getting trophies very consistently, and Just Cause is such a fun game. I don't know if you've ever played Just Cause.
I love the Just Cause series.
Yeah, it's like GTA on crack. It's like ridiculous.
And it knows
so I platinum Just Cause 2. Now the thing is, it's a sandbox game, and the platinum was like 75 hours, where like the last 25 hours is just you 100%ing the map, and you're doing the same thing over and over, all over the map. And it was a huge map. Like if you look at the maps on Just Cause compared to other maps, like, how they have those like things on, like, you can Google it, like map sizes, and they always compare them to other games. And you have like, GTA 3 is like over here, and then you have GTA San Andreas, and then you have Just Cause 2. And it's like, fuck, it's so big. And so I got burnt out. I didn't play a sandbox game for a very long time. I didn't really trophy hunt for a very long time. And then we started making a PC game. I didn't really play any PS3 things. And then the PS4 was coming out. And then I got back into trophy hunting. But then like, again, it wasn't really a focus of my stream. I just enjoyed it. So whenever I streamed, I would kind of do it, but it wasn't really the focus of my stream. I just, I streamed video games for the people that came to watch me. I didn't watch Twitch. I would stream for 6 months. I would not know what to play. I would get anxiety. I wouldn't play anything. I wouldn't stream because I wasn't playing anything. And then everything that would bring me back was a really hyped game that I would be like, oh man, I really want to play this. And like, I think the first one was maybe Thief. And so then like that remaster, not the remaster, but the remake of Thief that came out. It was like a PS4 game. It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. A lot of people kind of really hated the map system that existed because it was it was pseudo open world. So you'd have to load between sections and whatever. It didn't really bother me, but some people were annoyed by that. In any case, so that would bring me back. And then all the games that I missed in between, like me stopping streaming, that had come out to the point where like the game that I really wanted to play came out, I would play a few of those games. And then I would get back into the same cycle of, I don't know what to play because I want to play something popular, but at the same time, like I want to play something that I would enjoy.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's hard balancing finding a game that you want to play, a game that has viewers on it, a game that you have or that you can purchase. And like, it's just a horrible balancing act because like, you don't want to play something that has like 500 billion viewers, but you don't want to play anything that no one's watching. So it's like, it's really weird. It's really weird.
Yeah, and we could talk a little bit about variety metrics and stuff in a moment here, but you still got to answer. You still got to answer my question.
It's just a big roundabout way of me getting to that. So, it like there's a very specific reason why I'm going like this is because it ties into like the mental game for actually streaming.
Yeah.
Okay. Because
it's very insightful. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm rather enjoying this.
So basically, I went back to school. Like I never finished going back because I stopped when COVID hit, and I didn't want to like I didn't feel like doing online classes, and that's when I started taking Twitch even more seriously because I was for 2019, and then I was still taking classes and stuff like that at the beginning of 2020, and then the shit hit the fan, and then I just started streaming more while I was off work, and like a lot of other people, right? So basically before that I had met someone, like I like trophy hunting. He liked trophy hunting, literally some random dude I sat next to in class that we ended up being friends, and we ended up taking like a lot of the same classes just by happenstance because like, when you're in a program, you have to take certain specific classes and they usually go in certain orders. So we always ended up being in the same class. And he was a fucking trophy hunter. He was top 50 in Canada. Whoa. He had like, at the time he had 450 plats. I'm like, oh man, I got like 30 something. At that point. Now I'm over 100, but like the dude was a machine. Like he trained himself to live off of like 4 to 5 hours of sleep. He would hang out with his wife till she goes to bed at like 10 o'clock. And then he would game until 2 a.m. And then he would wake up at 8 and go to class and work and all this other stuff. But like, he was a machine. Whoa. Like he was a fucking trophy hunting machine. He would also play his Vita. So like on the train or like in between classes, he would be trophy hunting on his Vita. And then he would play console in the evening. He was a machine. Okay. But I mean, like he also like, when you have that many numbers, you got to play the baby games. Okay. And like he was buying games that were cross play. So he would able to platinum it on the Vita like on the job. And it's like an hour platinum, and he'd be able to platinum it on the PlayStation 4. So it's like super bang for your buck because you're playing $3 for a game that you can get 2 plats for in like a day. And so you do that constantly.
This person was committed.
Yeah, for sure. No, but I mean, like he did big games too. He's like every number of games, he would always do something very hard. Like he did the Yakuza games. He did some other games or whatever. But anyway, so he got me thinking, and I'm like, I should really just focus on trophy hunting for my game, for my stream. I mean, and so I started doing a little bit more. I played some easier games and stuff like that, a little bit quicker ones, like not anything. Like I remember, you ever hear of that game, Murdered Soul Suspect? It's like a Square Enix. It's like a detective game. It's pretty interesting. You're dead and you're trying to figure out who killed you. And you were a detective before, but now you're a ghost detective trying to figure out who murdered you. It's actually pretty
very Square.
I think it was a Square Enix game, but it was like an 8 to 10 hour game, pretty simple platinum. And so I did that. I played a couple of other games or whatever. Now the main thing that draws you into this, and the main point I want to make, is that a lot of people have goals. Goals are good. Goals are fantastic. But sometimes you need to only put goals where you can control the actual outcome of it. And
Oh,
that's
I
why
preach that all the time.
gaming goals are super important. And so for me, it didn't matter how many people were watching me. If it was 0 people, if it was 500 people, 50 people, didn't matter. As because I was going to get my trophies. That was it. That was my goal. If I get, if I hit 100, if I hit 200 this year, that's a goal. Or if I just try and get the platinum, that was the goal I was working towards. A lot of streamers have goals where it's like, I'm trying to hit 500 followers. I've got 250 now. Well, how am I going to do that? You have literally zero control over someone hitting that follow button. Like, you can't force them to. And basically begging them is the horrible thing to do in the first place.
Oh,
so
yeah.
all you can really do is be as entertaining as you can while you're, enjoying what you're doing. But I mean, like, there's like, you got to focus on things you can control, because it makes your mental state so much better. So much better.
Oh, totally. And whether it's focusing on content, focusing on, like you said, you have specific gaming goals in mind. When it comes to your cross stitching, right? Those are also goals. You actually have
cross-stitching.
a really fun interaction with your chat where people are guessing how many stitches you made at the end of that stream, right? So
I go fast.
Yeah, you're fast, boy. You're fast. So I totally agree, and we've preached it in other episodes of this podcast before, that I want to echo that goals that you can control are so huge. So in your case, it was getting these
Trophy
trophies,
hunting.
it was getting these plats, and
Exactly.
it started to pick up. You started to get more and more.
It drove me because that's what I was focusing on. The growing the stream is like a secondary thing in my mind, because I'm trophy hunting. And like, the meat of my stream is me being entertaining while I play my games. It's nothing else. And, if people find that fun, then they'll come back, even if they came for the game. And that's another thing, is like, people, like, I've seen streamers that, like, I met in like random communities that I had been a part of, that I've left, that I've come back, and like, they literally every single stream was a different game.
Oh, wow.
And like, that's not that bad if you have like a very specific system of your variety streaming. Like, if you stream like, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and like, every Monday you play this game, and then every Tuesday you play this game, and it's like a very set system, that's okay. I mean, you're still continuing your game. You have your series. It's a set thing. That's not bad. If you literally jump around to every single game, you're not giving anyone that likes that game enough time to actually get to know you and like you to maybe continue with you to another game. Like, if you're playing like a big, like if you're playing GTA, or if you're playing Final Fantasy, you play Final Fantasy once, someone might meet you, is like, oh, this guy's cool, he's playing Final Fantasy. And then the next day you're playing like Call of Duty. The guy that was watching Final Fantasy probably won't come watch you play Call of Duty.
He's probably not a big Warzone fan. He
might, but he probably wouldn't. But if you play Final Fantasy from the very beginning to the end, you might meet, like, maybe you might meet 5 people, right? And those 5 people will have 30 hours to get to know you. And maybe one of those people will be like, this guy's cool enough that the next game he's going to play, I'm going to go watch him also. And so like, if you're meeting one person every game, not even every stream, one person every game that actually likes you enough to continue following you, then you're doing good. Because like, legit, you play 50 games, you got one person every game, that's 50 viewers. It might take you a fucking year or 2 years to do that. Yeah. But I mean, like, that's solid progress. The thing is, so many people are like even me sometimes right now, I'm still trying to find, like, I'm still trying to grow. Like, it's still like
just because your partner doesn't mean that's the ceiling.
Yeah, partner means jack shit. I mean, like, it does. It does, but it doesn't, right? I mean, like, everyone's like, oh man, I want to be partner. It doesn't really do that much for you. I don't make any more money than I did as an affiliate. Like, I think I get a slightly better ratio with my subs, but it's like only for tier 2 and tier 3. I think when you're an affiliate, you get a 50% split with all your tiers. When you're a partner, you get a higher percentage of tier 2 and tier 3, not even tier 1. It's the same as affiliate. Yeah. So it's like, the best thing for partner is all the emotes and the transcribing. That's it. The best thing. Other than that, I mean, like, it's a very fancy check mark. Twitch self promos me when I go into streams. That's about it. That's the best thing about it. But I mean, like I've seen someone that definitely has partner views, and I'm not sure if he's ever applied, because I don't think he cares. Like, it's not necessarily
some people
the
don't.
be all end all of
Some
streaming.
people
It's like, it's a good goal. It's a good goal. And it's not easy to achieve, But I mean, like, it's like you gotta not focus on just trying to get the partner, and just, the passion. You have to have passion. Let it drive you. And the passion shouldn't be about, I have a passion for streaming. That is like, okay,
That's a part of it.
You can
That's
have,
part of
you
a
can,
bigger
that can
picture.
be part of it. You want to enjoy what you're doing. But I mean, like, just enjoying streaming. Like, what are you streaming? Do you enjoy doing art while you stream? Do you enjoy playing video games? Do you enjoy crafting? Do you enjoy spinning a wheel and being like a variety game show host or something like that? Like, streaming is a passion, but it has to be coupled with the passion for what you're doing on the screen.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I love this. You're absolutely right. And I do want to go a little bit more into your partner stuff in a second here. I really like what you were starting to bring up.
Well,
But
I finally
before
answered your question
you did.
about trophy hunting, and like that led us into goals. You wanted to know about metrics.
Yes.
I kind of got into it a little bit, meeting
You
one
did.
person.
You did.
I did a little bit.
But so the platinum hunting.
The thing we were talking about before, though, or like with the whole big games or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to get into that, or did you have another question?
I kind of have I have kind of a meld of questions, because I was just sitting here trying to digest. Like, I feel like everything is super insightful. Like, you're coming with so much experience. You're coming with so much experience. So like a new streamer coming in is not gonna have nearly the knowledge base that you have. I don't have nearly the knowledge base you have when it comes to this platform. But you were talking a little bit about before you started trophy hunting, you were having trouble selecting games to play, and then you started selecting the games that were popular, and then you met your buddy who showed you the beauty of trophy hunting, which that trophy hunting, did that kind of start leading to the games you choose? Because you started to talk a little bit about your variety metrics, how you gain viewership, how you lose viewership, and gain these and lose these long-term follows. So what goes into your variety streaming mindset now?
It's super. It's not like like I said, I'm still struggling with it now. I haven't struggled with it in like 2 years. There's a lot of games that I could get through, or a lot of games I was introduced to just being part of our Twitch community. You see people playing different games, and you're like, well, that looks really cool. I might want to play that. So I learned. I even now, you're always learning. Like, there's always different types of games that you've never heard of, and that's why being on Twitch is so interesting and special, because like there are so many different people with so many different tastes that you learn all kinds of different stuff just being around. Like, even cross stitching. Like, the reason why I started cross stitching and why I added that to my variety streaming, like you said, I'm a true variety streamer, right? I don't just play different games, but I do different things on stream too. And it's like, well, sometimes people are like, I'm a variety streamer, but I only play horror games.
I'm a variety streamer who exclusively plays Final Fantasy games.
You only play Final Fantasy. Yeah, it's true. You have a variety of Final Fantasy stuff. So are you truly variety? I mean, you do your podcast, so that is definitely different. But so it's like the cross stitch. Like, I wanted to add that to my stream because I remember seeing someone on my Facebook, when someone that was like an ex-girlfriend of one of my friends made a Chrono Trigger cross stitch. I was like, that was like, I saw her progress over the years finishing that. I'm like, that was sick. And then I reached out to her. I was like, hey, I was thinking of doing this. I'm like, where did you get that pattern? Do you mind? Like, could you send it to me? So I ended up picking it up. And it's like, I used to do this when I was a kid. And it's basically, it's pixel art, which is just, video game people love pixel art and stuff like that, right? And I'm making Chrono Trigger. Chrono Trigger is a fan favorite. Like, this just goes really well with everything that like pertains to video games. So I want to merge the two, and I can probably meet some new people doing this. And I met such amazing people. Like, Trixie's in the chat right now. Like, she was one of the first people that popped into my Christmas. I did this on Christmas Eve. My very first Chrono Triggers cross stitch stream was on Christmas Eve. I streamed for 6 hours, and I had zero idea who was going to show up. Zero. I had never cross stitched before. Anyone that had been there for like the last year, because this was at the end of like my first year of being, more consistent with my schedule, like of 2019, very consistent with my schedule. And I started cross stitching. So I mean, like, it was new territory. And so some people came in, and I was surprised to find out how many people had done this when they were younger. It's like, oh yeah, my grandmother taught me, or my mom taught me, or I still do this now, or, oh man, I used to do this, I should get back into it. And then we met all the crafters who fucking love gaming. So many crafters love video games. And so it just, like, if you breed that community where their people are just there to chill with you, then they'll be there to chill with you when you cross stitch. They'll be there to chill with you when you cook or play video games, or, literally just sit there and have a beer with Big Steak, and like, because they're there to chill with you. And, they're not necessarily there just for the game you are playing. Some of them are, And you have to be okay with that. There's going to be people there that are only specifically there. Like I get people that only show up on Tuesdays because they love cross stitching, and they'll show up on a Sunday cross stitch, but they don't show up for gaming. And I have people that show up for gaming that don't show up for cross stitching, and that's fine too. Like, and then so the whole metric thing with this is, I was telling you before, it's like sometimes you get those big ass games, okay? And you're always trying to find those big ass games, but sometimes those don't exist. And trying to only play those big ass games, like trying to find, like, it gives you anxiety. Like sometimes you have to just enjoy the experience. And like, if you get 2 follows that stream because no one's literally watching this game because it's 4 years old, but it's fun. And like, you know, the people that are there are the ones that are important because they showed up to watch you play this game. And maybe some of them haven't heard about it. And so they might even try a new game they haven't heard about. But I mean, like, I was just playing The Witcher 3. And back like 2 years ago when I played Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2, people, like, for some reason, people love Tony Hawk. I got mad follows playing Tony Hawk.
The music alone.
Oh, the music was fantastic. And like the way they blended the old soundtrack with some new songs, like it was so good. Like I never really listened to Machine Gun Kelly before. And I'm like, I know this song is fairly new, but I didn't know what it was. And then Reptar is just like, oh, Machine Gun Kelly. I'm like, he's in this? I'm like, who the fuck is that? He's the guy doing the song. I'm like, oh. And like, yeah, he's pretty friggin', he's not bad. I like his music. But I mean, like, yeah, the music's fantastic. The game is great. And like people just found me entertaining playing Tony Hawk because like, I was good at it back in the day, and I was like riding a bike.
Yeah, so you got like, right back into it.
Yeah, exactly. People were like, how the fuck are you doing this? And I'm like talking to like 100 people, and they're like, I don't know how the hell you're doing this. And that's usually how it goes. Like you know, doing Pantheon 5, like after finishing Pantheon 5 or whatever, I had like 100 people. This was before I was partner, but you switch to another game and then you're back down to like 50. And so like that hurts, but you have to realize that some games will bring in those numbers, but you like, it's impossible to always have those games, and being stressed about finding that next game sometimes is very hard. Like, you know, there's Dark Souls, there's Hollow Knight, there's The Witcher 3 now. There's some people even really enjoy Cyberpunk because there's like, you know, that thing around CD Projekt Red. But basically what I was getting at is that mad follows, but then when you start switching games, and you're going to games that are less popular and less people are coming in and following you, you go to Twitch Tracker and you're like, oh man, I was playing this new game. I had 5 follows today. And then you look at twitchtracker.com and it says you had 1 follow that day. You're like, what the fuck? I didn't have 1 follow. Then you click on it and you see 4 people unfollowed you. Those are probably 4 people that watched me play Tony Hawk and were like, this guy's not playing Tony Hawk anymore. I don't want to follow him.
Yeah, so I'm a Tony Hawk guy.
And then you're just there for like months, just wondering why the fuck are so many people unfollowing you? And then you have to just realize that sometimes people will follow because of the game. And if you got so many follows, like if you got like 200 follows playing one game and like it was like, you know, you caught fire and people really enjoyed it. You like, it was that weird butter, like weird, amazing butter section. I don't know. I'm saying that wrong. I'm trying to get like a metaphor, but it didn't work. Anyways,
I'm following this metaphor. I'm enjoying this metaphor.
It's like people really want to watch this, but not a lot of people are playing it. That was Tony Hawk.
Yeah.
It's not like Elden Ring right now. Elden Ring right now has hundreds of thousands of people watching it. Freaking Tony Hawk had barely anyone playing it, but so many people wanted to watch it. So I just ended up having the influx of people.
Yeah.
And so many people followed me, and then so many people unfollowed me.
When you left it.
Yeah. And I'm even having that thing right now with Witcher 3. It's like, you know, you just get unfollowed. It's like, and then you look, it's like, what did I do? Did I say something that maybe a longtime follower just like, fuck this guy, I don't like this guy anymore, and they unfollowed you? Or it's more likely a lot of people watch The Witcher 3. I'm not playing The Witcher 3 anymore. Well, bye.
Yeah, and then that we kind of talked about a little bit right before the podcast, where it's like losing those numbers and losing those followers or the people that are there just specifically for the game doesn't necessarily reflect you. That is, you know, you keep the things that are in your control, and like it's not necessarily bigger number equals better person in that case. And it could have been, like you just said, I want Tony Hawk, you're not Tony Hawk anymore, right? So
yeah. But so the thing with that is, and you made a very good point. I was talking to this a while ago with C-Dub actually, because like he was trying to get to like 1,000 followers, and like, you know, you get unfollows some days and it's like a slow growth, like when you're only like making 1 or 2 follows a stream. And sometimes that still happens to me. Like it just happens. So you're not always playing super popular games. New people pop in. Sometimes you get 0 follows. Sometimes you get 1. Sometimes you get 10. It depends on what you're playing. It depends how the stream is going. Sometimes it's more lit than others. But I mean, the people that follow you, hopefully will come watch you. And anyone that unfollows you wasn't going to watch you anyway. So who gives a shit?
Yeah. Exactly. What matters most are the people that are there for you right then, right? The ones that are in your chat, the ones that keep coming back for
Yeah.
you.
And
The
the one
game
thing to
might be a
keep in
good way to click you
perspective,
in. Oh, go
yeah,
ahead.
the one thing to keep in perspective is that, like, yeah, basically what you said, keep that in perspective. The people that are there now are what matter. And it doesn't matter that, like, more people didn't show up or something like that. You have to just be happy with what you have, because you can't control someone coming into watching you. All you can
Mm-hmm.
do is give them the best. That's like why. So my mentality for, like, like everything that I do, I try to be as unique as possible. And when I say unique, I'm not saying unique to someone else. I'm saying unique to myself. Every time I do a tweet to say I'm going live, I write something new every time, or at least I try to write something new. Sometimes I have really shitty going live tweets just because I have nothing in my head. And sometimes I have very good ones because it's like I have an idea, but I never write the same thing twice. Even my go live notifications on Twitch, it's not like, hey, go hit that button, I'm live. No, it's always like, what am I doing today? Or what am I like,
Mm-hmm.
it just switches. I'm always doing something unique to myself because I try to put in as much effort as I possibly can. Some days you can't do that. Some days, the best you got is what you have, and it's not as good as yesterday, but it's the best you got. So give your best that
Yeah.
day. The one of the best books you can read is The Four Agreements. I've told this to a number of people before,
I want to write that down.
but The Four Agreements is a very tiny book. It's like 100 pages, 115 pages, maybe 75. The Four Agreements are be, what was it? What are the Four Agreements? The Four Agreements are do your best, be impeccable with your word, which means like say what you mean and try not to like always be ambiguous or whatever. Don't take things personally. And what were the other ones? I can't remember.
There's one more, and it's super important. We'll have to read the book to know.
Exactly. But anyways, half the time, what's trying to get at is like, don't take things personally. Is the half the time something will happen to you, and it's like it might be zero to do with what you've got going on in your life or what you did to someone. It could just be that person had a really shitty day, or that like person, like whatever you said happened to just trigger something in their mind with something else, or half the time people aren't even thinking about you. I mean, like
Mm-hmm.
so many people have so much shit going on in their life. I mean, like,
Life's busy, especially as adults, right? We talk about that all the time. Well, I just want to make sure, Steven, just because I haven't checked in with you in a little bit, and I know we've been going for a minute here, we do have one more big topic that we want to get onto and have some questions. Have we had anything come up that we should be addressing?
I have been summoned. Yes, we do have questions. We have quite a bit. I'll try to keep them. We can make maybe do half of them now and then half of them at the end.
I'll
Yeah,
try to
'cause
make my
there's
answers
still-
succinct.
Yeah, because we still want to talk about
Actually
your
applying for partner.
yeah, you're applying for partner, how many times, and what they're actually looking for. Do we want to just do all those questions at the end, Steven, or is there some that are pertaining to the topic right now?
In terms of path to partner, I don't
Well,
have any.
Yeah, we haven't really talked about that,
Yeah,
right?
sorry,
Yeah,
before then.
A little before that. Yeah, we have some questions regarding games that I really liked from Naked Carla. She mentioned, what are tools you use to help you choose games for stream?
Like, okay, so getting into that, it's I like the only thing I really look for is like sometimes I look to see how many follows a game has. You don't always know this. I'm sure some people do, but if you look up a game, like even just talk shows and podcasts, if you click talk shows and podcasts at the bottom of the stream right here, you can go and you can see that talk shows and podcasts has 3.1 million followers. When you go to following on your Twitch, you can see that there's live, there's videos, there's hosts, there's categories and channels. So like if you go to categories, I'm following like I think one or two categories. I don't follow a lot of categories, but that doesn't mean people don't follow categories. I met
Obviously,
someone.
3.1 million people followed the category podcasts, right?
Yeah, exactly. Now the thing is, so if you're playing a game that has like no viewers but 2,000 like followers, like if you like, it will show up on like, especially on the phone. The phone is where it really comes in, because if on Twitch on the desktop app, you have to pretty much go directly to categories to see what it is. But if you're on the phone, it's like the first thing there. It shows you your categories live first, which one has the most. So if they're following a niche game that they happen to really enjoy, and they're like, oh man, someone's actually playing this game. Like I played Left Alive. Okay. It's a trash game. Okay. I really want to platinum it. I really want to platinum it because it's so fucking trash. And like, I want to love it, but it's so bad. They made so many bad decisions in their design. It's like pain to play. Okay. But it's in the front mission world, which is an old Square Enix game that is like about mechs, which I love. I love Gundam. My friggin' name is from Duo Maxwell from Gundam Wing. But basically, like, it's mechs, it was strategy. And now they basically tried to make Metal Gear Solid. They even got the Metal Gear Solid artist to make the cover, and the cover looks sick, but the game is so bad. I played that game for like maybe 2 hours, and I fucking met someone playing that game. He didn't come back after he followed because I never went to go play that game again, and he didn't get a chance to actually.
But he was looking.
But
up
I mean,
for
like,
that game.
he was looking for that specific game. So even if you have like a game that has 0 views, it doesn't mean you won't meet anybody. It just means there's not a lot of eyes on it. But I mean, like, again, like I said, if you meet one person that actually loves you and keeps coming back, it doesn't matter what the fuck you play. Like, you're not going to find 500 people. You're not going to find 500 people that are going to love you playing any game. But if you find one solid person, that's good. So, I mean, like, basically for me, when I'm trying to find actual streams, games to stream, like, I'm doing trophy hunting. I have a lot of things that I'm trying to think about. I try and do giveaways every 10 platinums. So I'm going to be doing Elden Ring for 120. So I try to make the 10th game big so that, like, you know, more people might come in. People like giveaways. I used to do it every 5, but if I try to get to 200 this year, that means that's like 20 giveaways, and that's way too much. So 10 giveaways is probably fine. We'll probably still get one like once a friggin' month anyways, because I have to try and do 10 games a month basically.
Yeah.
Which is going to get slowed down because I played The Witcher 3 and I'm going to be playing Elden Ring, these friggin' long games, man. But I mean, like, I try to balance short games, long games. Like, I don't want to necessarily play like everything. Like, I'm playing some games offline now because I have to. If I try to hit 200 plats, I stream like 1,200 hours, or like the year I did Chrono Trigger, I had to bust my ass at the end of the year because of panic stitching. I had to finish that thing for Christmas.
That's right.
So I streamed 1,600 hours in 2020.
1,600 hours.
For my recap. My recap said I streamed 1,600 hours. And
wow.
And so, mainly because I streamed friggin' Makers and Crafting, 485 of those. Like, I streamed a lot in November and December because I had to get the hours in to finish this, and I only did it on stream. So I mean, like, last year I did 1,300, I think, because I didn't have those extra 200-300 hours from crafting, and I didn't have consistent Saturdays because 2020 I had a lot of Saturdays because of the fact that we were in COVID and I didn't have to work at the bookstore and stuff like that. I had more free time. I streamed a lot more. But so this year, like, even if I do 1,300 hours, there's no friggin' way I can get to 200 plats if I only stream.
You have to do off screen.
I have to do some off stream gaming. So now I have this luxury of being able to play a lot of other games that I wouldn't necessarily stream. And my idea is to basically get them within a breath of platinuming it. And I'm going to have a stream where I, like, you know, one Sunday, I'm going to do 8 plats. I've been playing this offline. Come check it out. Or we're going to be playing a game every hour, and I'm going to get a plat every hour, but at least it'll help me get through friggin' 8 games.
But to circle back to Carla before we lose it here, a really good tool you were saying is not necessarily the amount of people streaming it or the amount of people viewing in that moment, but the following on the category.
Sometimes, like, I just played the game called Welcome to the Multiverse, which is a very small little indie game that our friend Jarvis works at the publishing place for it. So she gave me a key. She's a good friend, so I want to try and support her and their studio and stuff like that. So I played it on launch. But I mean, it's got like 40 followers, or like, I don't even know how many it has right now. So I mean, sometimes, like, you know, there are games that that have very little following, but, you know, sometimes there could be a game that has a good, sorry, I should probably get off that. I was trying to find it, but it's like, it's a very long, convoluted name. I don't want to bother in less than 2 seconds. So it's like, you know, if a game has like 2,000 followers, that's actually not bad of a ratio to maybe get someone if no one's streaming it. That's the same thing with like retro games. There was that trend where everyone goes on retro, and I actually found something out. Retro was an actual game name. It was not a category that Twitch is like, let's make a retro. It's a friggin' game called retro.
Game called retro?
There's a game called retro, and that's what this that's what this is. That's what it was.
We messed
originally.
that one up.
I think they actually switched it. I think I actually switched it afterwards, because I think now if you go on retro, it might actually say something else in the description. But originally it was a game, and people were like, oh yeah, I can just stream under this. But it was a game. And so anyways, sometimes, like, if you're playing a very popular game, like, it might be better to go into the category, even if it is retro. Like, I played Final Fantasy VIII Like I could be playing in retro, or I could be playing in Final Fantasy VIII, because the people looking for Final Fantasy VIII might find me.
We'll
or
find
the people looking for retro be like, oh shit, I love Final Fantasy VIII. I'm gonna go look at that. So you might get two different demographics, right? But I mean, like playing retro games, it's a hit or miss depending on if you want to go in the actual category, if you want to go in retro, because there's definitely a lot more eyes on retro than there is on.
But there's also a sea of different games in retro. You don't.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it's a little hard, but yeah, it's so picking a game, like I look at follows of the category itself. I look at how long it takes to plat. I look at like some games might be really cool, but I definitely don't want to touch them with a 10-foot pole because they might take me 200 hours.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, fuck that. Like,
That's a lot of streams.
I ain't got time for that shit. But there used to be another tool that I use sparingly. It's called Twitch Strike. It doesn't always work. Like it's very buggy website that I don't think they keep up to date with all the changes of the API, but it was to find out like, you know, how many people are streaming this game? When's a peak time to stream this? But I think that's like, it's like it's weird trying to over analyze stuff. You can still use, I think you can use Sullynome to find that data too, because you can look up games on Sullynome. So I mean, like you can do your research, you can try and find games that have really popular, you know, views and stuff like that. But I think that is going backwards. You need to play something that you really want to play, because passion bleeds through the screen. I love video games. I make video games. I used to work at a video game store. Like it oozes off of my
You heard it
skin.
here first. Duo loves video games.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like I love video games since I was a kid. We used to house sit for my aunt and uncle when they used to go on vacation or whatever, and they had a Nintendo, and I used to like always go with my dad because we'd play like an hour of like wrestling or whatever on their Nintendo. And then when they got a Super Nintendo, we got their Nintendo, and then eventually I got their Super Nintendo. And I would like, they would always be in my parents' room, so I couldn't play it all the time because they did that on purpose, because I loved the video games. I couldn't stop playing them. So like, it's always been what I've loved. And if you love something and you have a passion for it and you have a knowledge for it, people will be more interested in it because you can talk about it. And people love, like, you know, joining in on something they love also. And especially if you love it as much as as you love it, like it's just easier.
It breeds the culture you're looking for, right? The community that you're looking for. Because and this is just, I'm obviously not an expert on this. I'm still consider myself a fairly new streamer. But like, if you're always just chasing the latest and greatest, like, are they getting to know you, or is it just the game?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's true.
But awesome. Well, thank you for that question. Is there one more before we get into this last section, or should we leave them to the?
I'm sorry about this.
No, don't worry. I'm so invested in this.
I could probably talk to you for hours, man.
I'm so invested in this. Is there another one kind of within that same?
We got one here. Yeah, I think we got a goodie that we can kind of blend into that. One from Misty Elf says, "What made you throw in cross-stitching in between the games?"
Oh,
so
that's a good question.
Misty, I might have answered that before, but I basically it was the fact that it coupled very well with video games. It's pixel art, and I found like a Chrono Trigger, which is a very popular game, so it mixed in, you know, like basically trying to find something that everyone loves with something that I mean, I used to be passionate about cross stitching. I liked it a lot when I was a kid. I just didn't really have time when I was in my 20s and stuff like that. And so it was just like trying to branch out to be a little bit more variety, to try and meet new people. Like that was my way of meeting new people, to try and grow in the community, because it's not always easy growing a community only playing video games, and you meet a much different user base, basically doing something completely different. Like it's an amazing thing trying to add something so different to your own stream or whatever. Like people do Gunpla and stuff like that, and you'll meet new people that really love making Gundam models and stuff like that.
Yeah. But
I mean, like if you start painting or doing arts or animations or anything that's different than what you normally do, you'll always meet new people, because there's a demographic for that love crafting. And it ended up mixing very well because crafters love video games, and there's so much nerdy crafting out there that it just
I ordered some.
Like, oh, you did? So it ended up being like a serendipitous like harmony. Like it's not like I set out with the plan that it would like work the way it did. It worked like 1,000 times better than I ever dreamed it could have worked, the way that it worked out. But I mean, basically I had this idea, I'm going to work on this really epic cross stitch. I'm going to do it all year. and I'm going to do a giveaway for it. And it ended up being like crazy. I had like 5,000 tickets that first year. I couldn't believe it. I literally could not believe how good it ended up turning out. And I met some amazing people in the makers and crafting section, like cross stitching on Twitch. There's not like everyone, when you makers and crafting on Twitch is huge, but there's not always that many cross stitchers. There's not always that many embroiderers. There's a lot of people doing keyboard builds. There's a lot of people doing all kinds of stuff, but like, there's a lot of people doing makers and craft, and the cross stitchers on Twitch are the best.
I from all the cross stitchers I met, I can agree with that. I met 2. You're one of them. So actually, what I want to do is, why don't we save the questions to the end here, because there's something that I think that you've touched on quite a bit of times as we've talked, not only today but coming up until today, which was what we're gonna just dub your path to partner, right? When you became partnered, what was your mentality to get there, and what does the actual process look like? Because again, I feel like you have a very, again, genuine and realistic growth pattern for somebody on Twitch or somebody on this platform, that could be very insightful for someone like me or someone else in the chat right now.
Yeah, so I talked to a lot of people, and I did quite a bit of research when I was applying. I never really did a partner push. I see sometimes in chats when the people are like, oh, to count as a viewer, please remove like the little bit of the raid thing and reload or whatever and stuff like that. I never did any of that. It's basically, I tried to do it. I tried to let it be as organic as it possibly could. The one time I said that I was just trying to push a little bit, and I did an extra cross stitch stream because everyone loved the cross stitch stream, especially it was right after doing the giveaway for Chrono Trigger. That stream was fucking ridiculous. Like, I think the average is like 128. I think we rated out at like 170 people or whatever. At the end of that giveaway, that was like the be all end all of like, at that point, like that was insane. Like, I'd never seen it. And like, I was overwhelmed looking at my chat. It was insane. It was so cool. And so like, basically when you're looking, like, you'll see like, your path to partner, you're like whatever average views away, and you need to hit 75 without raids and hosts. That's mainly why people say that in chat. Now, the thing is, your views always count. Even if you have that thing, they always count. Your views don't never count. So sometimes when you see it in chat, they're like, oh, please do this so that you count as a real viewer. It's not that. Basically, when you get rated in, there's another tag. And I agree with that tag, because they're just trying to see like if you can get people to come into your stream. And doing all the research that I found and talking to people, like, they look at a few key things when you're going for partner: how quickly you can get people into your stream, like how quickly you get up to your average or whatever. And like I said before, like sometimes I have my average after 2 hours, right? So it's not always easy to get people in right away. And that's why, notifications and like Discord messages and like your social media and stuff like that is good, because people see that and they come in, especially if they know you. Obviously, it's not always to meet new people, but it's to get the people that you already know that like you to come in. And so getting people in quickly, they look at obviously how often you're rated and how many views are pertaining to that. I think you can actually go into your analytics and switch one of the tabs for your monthly or your spanning the channel analytics, not the stream analytics. You can actually switch it so you can look at how many race and host percent views you have. I think when I was getting partner, I was around 6%. Okay. But some people that have partner numbers or whatever are in like the 20s because they get rated a shit ton. And so a lot of their views happen to be that, that metric that they're trying to remove because it helps them. But I mean, so the main idea is I never did that because I think that's the wrong message to send. The reason why I like that little tab is because as our job as streamers, like some people are like, I like raids. They don't like, it doesn't really mean that much to me. Like someone raids in, it's really cool. I really appreciate it, but I don't find people stick around and stuff like that. It's our job as streamers to try to convert any of those viewers to be a viewer of you. And asking them to basically just be a number for you at the very beginning, the first thing they meet to you is just like, hey, you want to, do me a favor and just remove that so that your view counts towards my partner numbers. I never did a partner push either, other than that one time. Right. I was getting to this. I tangent off.
Yep. Well, this is all very, very, very insightful. That's a very good point.
So basically, I did 1 week, like one Sunday, where I was like, I'm gonna cross stitch mainly because I wanted to hit that 75 average views, and I was getting a couple of days away from the 28 days of that Christmas stream that was so friggin' epic, and I had like 128 average disappear from my 28 days, and I was at like 74.5.
Oh,
I was
wow.
just before, and it was like, it was giving me hardcore anxiety, like hardcore. I just want to be able to apply. Like it like it hurts. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do a cross the stream. I didn't do a partner push. I didn't do anything. This is as close to a partner push. I even said it in my go live notification. I'm like, this is as close to a partner push that I will do. And I'm gonna cross stitch. Like, everyone loves it. It's a Sunday it's a Sunday afternoon. Let's just make a lit, come in, and we'll see what happens. Then I ended up getting just the notch over.
You got that 0.5?
I got that 0.5 over, and then I was able to apply. And because like I just wanted, like, people talked about becoming partner or applying for partner more than I ever talked about it, because it was never something that I ever thought about. Like I said, I started streaming like 9 years ago when like the only way to make money was to be a partner. So it was never in my mind. I didn't start streaming like, I'm going to be a Twitch partner. I'm like, if it happens, it happens. I'm just going to stream, chat with people, play video games. And, it was just like my main thing at that point when I started was we had a podcast, we had a blog, and I wanted to try to get people, in that ecosystem. It didn't end up working out. And all I did was end up continuing streaming because I enjoyed it. And I was playing video games, I streamed, and that's the way it ended up working out. So I never really thought about it. If it happened, it happened. And I just, kept trying to meet more friends, meet more people. And that was it. So now the actual application process.
Yeah, this is about to be my next question.
So basically, I mean, the application process is you could just send in a message. You write something. And I talked extensively to one of my friends. I know you've seen them in my stream. They've rated me a number of times, like Striker Sly. She's another Canadian. I met her before she was partner, and then I didn't even realize she got partner. Like I went into her stream, I was like, oh, congratulations, you got partner. But when I met her, I didn't she rated me one time, and I'm not even sure how she found me. But and then that was the beginning of our friendship. But in any case, getting insight from her was helpful also. But it's like I was trying to write stuff, and so I failed 3 times. The 4th time is the one that I actually got partner on, and I always wrote a fair amount. The last time I sent it in, I wrote a lot, mainly because she sent me what she wrote, and I was like, holy shit, I'm underplaying how much I need to write sometimes, because like you can really write a lot. It depends, because like you don't know, because she told me she knows people that just wrote A, capital A, or a period, sent it
and
in,
they got it
because
what?
Like, sometimes the numbers just speak for themselves, right?
Yeah.
When you're like I always got that message like, oh, you're on the right track, but we need to view you a little more. Oh, you're on the right track, but we need to view you a little more. And then the 3rd time I failed, it's like they kept saying 2 weeks, so I kept applying in 2-3 weeks or whatever. My numbers were decent enough. They were fine. They were in the partner realm or whatever, but maybe not good enough for them. And then the 3rd time they're like, wait 3 or 4 weeks. I was like, it was like a shot in the heart. Like it was a gut punch.
Wait longer.
Like, hearing the longer wait is like, did I take a step backwards? And like everything I wrote, I have to find them again, because I had sent them. You don't know how many people I sourced when I was writing these things. Like the first time I wrote something, it was, and this is where I got a lot of insight from like just searching online, talking to different people. Like the first time I wrote something, it was more about my stream, how I approach things. Or not necessarily how I approach things, but how my stream is. We got a great community, all this other stuff. We do like a cross stitching and a Christmas giveaway, and we do trophy hunting and all that. But I was just talking about my stream and everything I told them. And the one biggest insight I found when I looked online is that you need to tell them what is different about you, because nothing is different about your stream. I mean, like Kerb, you have a great community. What's so different about your community that is different about mine? You have to show them why you are different. You have to tell them why you are different and why they should make a partnership with you, because they're already making money off of you. You're an affiliate.
That's true.
Like you're already making money. You're not going to make more money because you're a partner. Like I don't get special views because I'm a partner. I might have access to privileged possible promotions or whatever, or like, you know, telling a developer I'm a Twitch partner might do me a service. But I've sent emails to big devs. I don't even get a message back. I'm like, I'm a Twitch partner. I do this, blah, 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 blah. No email back. Like, it happens. Like, so anyways, you have to tell them why you are different. So the first time I wrote something, I didn't have that in my mind. I didn't even look for that yet. I was just writing something really cool. And like everyone I'm talking to was like, oh, that's amazing. They're going to love you. You're definitely going to get it. Shut down. Second time, I went really ballsy. I'm like, it doesn't matter. Like, if you don't make me a partner right now, or if you make me a partner in a month, I'm going to get there and you're going to see. And like, I went really hard and aggressive in the second one. And because I was just like a little annoyed and slightly pissed. And then the third one, I can't even remember how I wrote it. But it like I failed also. I think I talked about the fact that like at one point in time, I just moved into my new place. And I was playing Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and I had to leave my house to go get a used stove, because my girlfriend obviously couldn't pick it up. And the guy had like a back issue. So he needed help trying to get it into the car, and then we would drive it here and then bring it in. So I'm like, okay, I really need to go. I'm going to go be right back. I put a little note on the screen saying like, I'm getting a stove. I'll be right back. And like, there was a be right back screen for like 100, like I had like 100 people in my be right back screen waiting for me like 45 minutes to go get a fucking stove. And I wrote about that in my partner. He's like, oh, we got a great community. I mean, like they literally waited around while I was getting a stove, like 100 people waiting around just because like, you know, they're ingrained in this community and they support me. And like, you know, everything about this is so great. I still got fucking shot down. So the fourth time.
I was about to say, so the fourth time, what did you do differently?
I did more research, and that's when I found out where you have to really not necessarily sell yourself, but you have to show them why you are different, not your stream, why you as a person, why you as a streamer is different than all the other channels. Okay.
Because they're ultimately partnering with you, right?
We all have great communities. People talk about it. He's like, oh yeah, I got grassroots, or I got this, I got that. You know how many fucking people get the exact same thing you get? That does not make you different, because everyone else, it's the same. So what I talked about, what I did, I also read like Striker Sly sent me her message, and it was like all three of my previous messages in one, basically. That was the length difference. So I wrote like 2 pages or a page and a half of stuff. And the way that I approached it was how I stream. And first off, I talked about like, you know, being patient. I failed this 3 times. And like, I always preach patience because like, you know, like I had a slow burn with this. I talked about that a number of times too, but it's like, basically the way I approached it was storytelling. I think I talked about being better than your average streamer, or better. I actually said better than your average Twitch partner when I wrote it. So I was like, you know, as streamers, we need to be storytellers. And I think I've worked so long in retail, specifically at my job, where it has actually helped me become a better streamer. Like I take these life experiences and I always tell it into stories, because storytelling as a streamer is a very important thing, because it helps breed interaction. It helps breed this sort of connection that you have with people, because stories are very powerful. And then I also talked about how I was a video game developer for 10 years and how I have a different voice that people can relate, that not necessarily relate to, but can get a different insight. Like they get relation with my stories, but they get insight into actual video game development from my voice, because I approach games differently. I see them differently. And like my commentary is completely different than someone else's. So I think that was going for me. I think the storytelling and like my retail experience as just a person out in the world talking to people on a regular basis helped. And then I also talked about how I was sort of like a mentor, or I wanted to be more of a mentor. A lot of people look up to me. People tell me they look up to me, and I can see how I stream and how other people approach streaming in the same way that I do. And how if I was a Twitch partner, I could, you know, have a stronger voice. People would take me not necessarily more seriously, but I mean, like my words would have more weight if I was a Twitch partner to help people, you know, stream better. Like me being a partner, helping people be better streamers is better for Twitch. And then I talked about my future plans to try and, you know, make I have a big extensive video game collection. I wanted to try, like, so basically you talked about why you're different, and then you want to talk about what you would do when you're a partner. And it's like, I wanted to do, you know, a different series like on social media to try and bring more people in. A very large video game collection that I wanted to source and tell stories about why I have these games in my collection, not just like my personal story with them, to maybe breed more connection with other people, because, you know, other like video games and stories go hand in hand, and not just the stories in the games, but the stories of why we love them or why we even buy them. Like
Yeah.
like Secret of
Games
Mana.
are
I love
expensive
Secret
now.
of Mana. I love Secret of Mana. But I mean, like for instance, Secret of Mana, I have a very specific story in my mind where it's like my cousin bringing it over. He borrowed it from his friend and he brought it over to my house and we played it together. And I just got absorbed in it. And every time I think of Secret of Mana, I always think of that experience of just hanging out with my cousin and him bringing that game over. And I didn't own it for like 15 years after that. I always loved it. I played it on emulators. And when I worked at that video game store, I remember it coming in with the box and I fucking hid it for like a month until I got money to buy it.
You're that kid. That's amazing. That's amazing. Well, dude, thank you so much for giving all that insight. I do want to turn it over for some questions. I know that there's a lot of people that would love to probably get more of this. Like you said, we could talk for hours and hours and hours.
Oh,
Like,
I can always come
absolutely.
back in like a few months if you want, but I mean,
Can we? Can we put that in the book?
a few months. We can talk about other stuff, but yeah, get to the questions. I think we established the whole beginning to the end of
And
the sort of journey.
And there's so much there. There's so much more. But before we turn it over to the questions, you're a game developer. You're currently finishing up. Where are we with the process with that?
Time
We
Melters,
have
yeah.
your Time Melters. I've been playing the beta, which is an amazing game. We played the alpha on stream when the demo was out. Do you want to do just like a quick what is your 2-minute elevator pitch for your game that's coming out, and then we'll come turn it over to Steven for those questions.
Yeah, so it's a like a spiritual successor to the game I was talking about before, Sang Froid. And so it's like another sort of hero defense, but it is basically a linear story, but there's different ways to approach all your levels. Every level is unique. It's very special compared to how we built the other game, which was a little bit more systemic in the map. So now every level is different. It has co-op. It's got time travel. That is like literally the most unique mechanic. Like other games play with time travel sometimes, but this one's ingrained in the actual gameplay. Like you have to think in the fourth dimension sometimes on when you're trying to solve a fight. Like, how am I going to do this? How do I get that mana? How do I play with myself? Because that's basically what you're doing. Every time you die, you go back in time, and then there's a version of yourself there that is running around the map doing what you just did, and you have to try and fight with it and not against it in order to succeed your maps. And we got a really cool storyline that's filled with twists and turns. It's got a challenge mode now to help with replayability and really push like your strategies and puzzle brain to try and get through. It's really cool. It's probably going to be out this fall. We have extensive alpha and beta going right now, but it's mainly just internal because of we did a Kickstarter that was successful. So everyone that partook in that got alpha keys more or less. And so a lot of people are playing it right now, and it is a lot of fun. It's very cool. And the co-op is sick. We have to do it sometime, Kerb.
Yeah, we have to. I'm so curious. I need to play that co-op with you. I'm super excited about it. And the art style is gorgeous. And the storytelling is very, very good. I don't know how much you had in the hand of the actual storytelling part, but I gotta let you know.
I do a lot of
it's
rewriting.
great.
I do rewriting because my boss isn't fluent in English.
Oh.
But he wrote a lot of it. When I say rewriting, I'm not changing any of the story. I'm just writing it in a different structure.
Gotcha.
But I mean, every once in a while, when he's stuck on something, we brainstorm ideas and stuff like that. But mainly my boss wrote a lot of the story. There's a little tidbits of me here and there when I come up with ideas for where we should go or how we should do something. But it's a lot of my boss. He is one thing in life that they always say is try and surround yourself with smart people. If you're the smartest person in the room, you're probably you should be you always want to be surrounded with in a room with more smarter people. You want to surround yourself with geniuses and you will go far.
Everyone's smarter than me, so that's easy. Perfect. So Time Melter's coming out this fall. Definitely keep your eyes out for that. You know that I'll be promoting it as well. I actually, aside from our friendship that's developed over Twitch, it's actually a game that I believe in too. It's really a good time. But let's turn it over for the next probably the last 15 minutes here. Steven, I'm sure you got a list of questions. If anybody in the chat, if you do have a question, make sure to highlight that message so that we can get it on. Get it addressed as best as we can these next 15 minutes. What do you got, Steven?
Let's get it. We have quite a bit of questions. I hope we can fit them all in.
We'll do speed running.
We'll try to do a speed run
here. Try and go quick.
We got one from Aquatic Gem. They go, what do you define as a success in streaming? Is it the networking, community building, or something else?
How do I determine my success, or how did I get to my success? My success. So when I started more hardcore, more into it 3 years ago, 2019, setting a fixed schedule was a very smart move, a good step, because when people know that they can find you at a very specific time. I've had the exact same schedule for like 3 years basically, at like Sunday to Wednesday, and then like Friday, Saturday is a bit of a split. I used to do Thursday nights, but I dropped that a long time ago. But yes, schedule, very, very important to get viewers back in, because it's like watching a TV show at 8 o'clock on Mondays. A TV show doesn't play randomly throughout the week. They have a specific time slot, because they know if you set a routine around me, then perfect. So schedule, very important. Second, networking is very important too. But I don't say like networking, like you should never do something just to do something because you think it's good. Like I would say more garner relationships with people, because I consider so many people in this community like my friends, and we're like a family. And like, I want to hang out with you guys as much as you want to hang out with me, and not just in my streams, but in other streams. And like, I say hi to everybody. Like name recognition is very good, but I say hi to everybody. Like one time someone's like, I thought that guy was a bot because he was saying hi to everybody.
DuoBot coming soon.
Yeah. But like, I wouldn't like networking. Yes. But I mean, like I would approach it in a more sustainable, in a more healthy way, which is garnering relationships and building friendships, because that's what you want. You want to build this community. Like I am everywhere because I see myself as a community leader. And how can I lead if I don't know what everyone else is doing? People come into my streams and like, I talk to them about, oh shit, you're playing this, or you're working on that. How is that going? How's this going? Everyone always talks about, like, people come in and be like, man, it sounds like you know everyone here. That's because I try to know everyone here. It's my job to know people, and my job to know what they're up to. Being a leader like that, like you have to do that, or else, I don't know, it just seems disingenuous or something like that.
Totally. So you'd say that those kind of your keys to success there. And again, I've said it before, I find you to be one of the most genuine streamers I know, right? And I think that you're definitely
I think that works too.
Right,
I mean, like if you hang out with me at a bar, or hang out with me just playing video games or whatever, like that's another thing. I brought this up before. Sometimes like I used to have everyone over at my house. Like my house was the hub. Like people would come over, we'd be playing video games in the basement, or have lunch or swim or barbecue or whatever. Like my friends would come, like every once in a while we go to my other friend's place or whatever, but like we would always hang out, like just chilling. And like, you can't stop backseat gaming when people are literally on the couch behind you. And that's how I see it. I mean, like we're all experiencing this together, and people like always get super angry about backseating, which is fine. Like you want to experience your game the way you want to experience, which is perfectly fine. Like people coming in and just being like, yo, do this or do that. Like micromanaging is bullshit. Never micromanage anybody. I know how to play this game, but I mean, like that also comes with like sometimes when you're playing a game, like if you're struggling a lot, people want to try to help you out, which makes sense. And like legit, I love when people help me, but there's a difference between micromanaging and trying to help, because micromanaging doesn't help jack shit. I don't need to know that I need to jump up a fucking building. I can jump up the damn building. It's fine. Like you don't have to tell me, oh, you can climb this, you can climb over there. I'm like, I can see. And like, unless like there's something I'm about to miss or something like that, is like, oh, you missed up on top of the roof over there. I'm like, okay, that's cool. But I mean, like if you're trying to micromanage, like that's just no.
But that's also it depends on the streamer, right? That's where it comes to the rules. Like sometimes I need
that's where it comes to the rules too. But I mean, like it depends. I mean, like my mentality is we're experiencing this game together.
We're buddies in your basement.
We're buddies in my basement, and we're experiencing this all together. I have played a lot of games in my life. Like if I don't experience this specific boss, like if it's kicking my ass and I don't know that I can do something and someone tells me, I'll be like, thank God, please, thank you. I didn't know that. Why didn't I know that? And then I will go off on the fact that I didn't know that, and I will blame the devs for not teaching things properly.
Yeah.
So I mean, like it depends.
So your success is much more community focused, like you're saying.
I think any great success is community driven, for sure.
I totally agree with that. And again, we're gonna kind of speed run these questions, because Steven, you said there's a lot. What's our next one, buddy?
Let's do it. We got one from KCW. I think he wanted something directed
KC
at
Dubs?
Duo. KC Dubs. He says, when are you getting plat for crypt of the?
So never. Maybe one day, if you get it, KC. But I don't even want to say that right now, because someone's gonna clip this and be like, He got it. He got it. So
Remember this day.
yeah, exactly.
So once Casey does, you'll get it.
Or like ribs, but I mean, like someone's gonna be. So basically, I just started putting stuff on YouTube like just last night. I've been working on it for like a couple of months, and like every single time I did something, I would be sidetracked by having to do something else. Like when I got on my YouTube, I had some videos. I'm like, yeah, this is cool. I'm like, fuck, I don't have a banner. So I started making a banner, and then I'm like going to the banner. I'm like, I don't have a fucking logo. So I started making a logo. And it's like, I always get like you find a step, like you're at a step, and then you're like, oh fuck, I need to do this. And then you go do that, and they're like, oh fuck, I need to do this. And then you go do that, and it's like, oh fuck, I need to do this. And so you just keep getting pushed back and pushed back and pushed back and pushed back.
So everybody should be checking out Duo's YouTube channel, which is it linked on your Twitch?
I don't think so, but you can do YouTube. No, that won't work. It's gonna get blocked. YouTube.com/user/DuoMTL.
Yeah, we'll have to get a link at the chat.
Anyways,
at the end
I put a video on Twitter last night. It was like 10:30, like the worst time to put anything on Twitter, because no one's gonna see it. Everyone's going to bed. But I mean, well, bed for me. It was early for you.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's fine. That's dinner time.
Time zones are perfect. Basically, I don't have any original content on there now, but it's going to be older VODs. So if you ever missed anything and you want to check it back out, you can go check that. Eventually, I will be doing a series though on trophy hunting. And
so you're going to have to get that plat.
No. So Ribs is like, because I was saying we wanted to try and make it a little bit more accessible to people. So I'll talk a little bit about our idea more or less, but it's basically like, we don't want to make guides because there's tons of guides out everywhere. What we want to do is show tools and tips and how to approach different games and what pitfalls are in this game to watch out for to make your experience enjoyable. Because nothing's worse than playing a 20-hour game and realize you missed something at the very beginning, forcing you to replay the entire game because you did that. You want to know what that does? That makes you hate trophy hunting and want to quit.
Yeah, we don't want that. Not in these parts.
Not in these parts. So I mean, like, we want to make it a little bit more accessible to like newcomers because like we've like trophy hunting on stream. Like a lot of people have been like, yo man, that looks really cool. Like my passion bleeds so hard that people are like, man, I want to do that too. That seems enjoyable until you hit that one game. That's like, I'm never doing this ever again. So that's what we're going to talk about. Then Ribs on Twitter is like, haha, what it's just as hard. Like you'll find it only hard when you start playing Yeast or Crypt of the Necrodancer. And like,
oh man, those
we'll have to start a series where we talk about games to avoid unless you're a masochist, and then we'll have Ribs's like little head pop into the side, just go right there. So, anyways,
so you're never gonna do it. What's our next one, there, Steven?
Next one is, I actually love this one from Aquatic Gem. They go, promoting oneself is nerve-wracking at times, but what is your pre-stream process and how do you have the mentality to begin?
Yeah, promotion is never easy. Like I have to start doing a bunch of other stuff. Like I was looking at a video the other day to getting into TikTok and stuff like that. And like, I obviously want like different things for different mediums. Like obviously if I do TikTok, I'll probably put the videos on Twitter also, because that's easy to do. But I'm like, I wouldn't do like go live notifications on like Instagram or something like that. Or maybe if I did, it would be like an Instagram story where I take a selfie and be like, I'm live now, join me. But I mean, like, so
did you break it?
I don't know if everyone heard that. No, my that spooked me almost. My head, my earbud wire hit like the spring on my boom mic, and I was like, what the fuck?
Oh, I heard it. I was like,
it was like Gemini getting a jump scare in his freaking horror stream or whatever. Someone knocking on the side of his house.
It's like, what?
Anyways, so yes, promo is hard. My pre-routine, I was saying before that I always do something unique. So I always try to make a tweet. I always try to make my Discord thing. So in Discord, I don't add everybody when I go live. I have a very opt-in notification system because the last thing I want is for everyone to just be like, this guy adds everybody way too much. I'm going to mute the server. That is the last thing I want ever. Like I want my community, or I want my Discord to be a place where you can hang out. And like, I add everybody once a week, sometimes twice if I cancel a stream. But I mean, like I do it once a week just as a, yo, it's Sunday. Here's what's coming up during the week. Here's my schedule. I'll see you guys next week. And then my go live notification, like I write something very unique and that's basically it. So I have like basically you have to have a role, and the only way to get the role is by opting into it, by like reacting to something on the Discord. So I write something very unique in Discord. I typically write very along the same lines on Twitter, because it's two different places, and at least I'm being unique in the sense that it wasn't the same thing I tweeted last time, or wasn't the same thing I wrote in Discord last time. And then I double check to make sure my dashboard stuff is all set up. Sometimes I'm in a rush and I do all the other stuff and I forget the dashboard, so I go live with the wrong game, or I didn't change the go live notification or something like that, which happens when you get into a rush. I try to eat a very big breakfast because I don't take breaks a lot of times. Like I stream 7 hours and I might take one bathroom break, or sometimes I don't even take a break. So I try to have a really big breakfast so I'm not like starving at like noon. And usually every time I go take a break, I have a snack or something like that. So I have like a 2-minute or 3-minute break, and I'm not gone for like 10 minutes. But that's just,
unless it's 45 minutes to get a stove.
Yeah, very specifically to get a stove. Yes.
But
yeah, that's my pre-thing routine. Promotion is hard. There's no easy way about that. What you could do, the easiest way, because like obviously self promo, no one likes you coming into the for self promo, for me, like the one thing I dislike seeing in other streams is when you ask someone a question and then they say, "Oh, I streamed," or like, if someone's like, "Hey, what's up? What were you up to today?" He's like, "Oh, I streamed," and they're like, "Hey, no self promo," but I mean, like, you asked me a question.
Yeah, you asked.
They could have said. I mean, I understand that is still a faux pas, and like, obviously they can say, "Oh, I was playing a video game," or "Oh, I was working," or something like that, and that's fine. If someone does it, I don't go off. They answered my question. I'm perfectly fine. Like literally talking to people
it's invited
is very, very important, and people love talking about themselves too. And you have to ask them a question. If their answer happens to be about streaming, actively engage about that. You ask them. The one thing I will say though is if someone, the first message they ever say is, "Yo, I just finished streaming this. What's up?" Like that is just like, I don't even know you, bud. I don't know you. But I mean, I love talking to my friends about everything. If it's like, if they said, "Oh, I went to school today," or "I went to work," it's like, "Oh, cool. What did you do in school? Or what did you do at work?" That answer or that question should still come after, "Oh, I streamed today. What did you stream? Did you have fun? Did you play? Like, what was that about?" Like, engage them, because you can always turn it back. Like if they say, "Oh, I was playing this game," it's like, "I love that game." And then you literally have a talking point.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, self promo is very hard. You don't want to self promo in someone else's stream unless they specifically ask you to, which is the thing. Like, it is a faux pas to be like, "Oh, I was streaming today." Even if they ask you a question, technically it's still sort of a faux pas. I don't necessarily agree with it, but I kind of like,
we're breaking that mold.
Exactly. You're trying to break that mold. The thing is, so the best way to do it, if you raid someone, they know you stream. Sometimes you go like 6 months without realizing someone streams because they really don't self promo, which is fine. Like they're like, "Oh, I don't do that in other streams," which is, a good mentality to have. But at the same time, I never knew you streamed for 6 months until this person actually rated you, or I saw you in my recommends. So, I mean, like, two things you can easily do. You can raid people. If you raid different people that I never raid random people. If people give me a recommendation, I don't know that person, I will always ask them to DM me it, and I will go check that person out. But I never raid random people, because I only raid people I know, because I'm trying to foster more relationships with them, because I love my friends and I want to show love to my friends by sharing our viewers. And the way that our community is built, everyone knows everyone. So like those types of raids work the best because you already have a relationship with this person. Okay. And then the other thing you can do is a lot of Discords have self-promo sections. So if you want, basically, like if someone posts in my self-promo section, I will know that they stream and I will try to check them out. So like a lot of the times, like the way I see it is like you're talking to the owner. Not every time someone will go look in the self-promo section. Like sometimes it's just a place people write in links, but I would not also like basically say, "Oh, I'm going live." Like, again, be unique, put effort in, write what you're doing, write like why they should come hang out with you, what you're playing, like what is your goal today? Because the more information you give, it might actually entice someone to come click your link.
And then once they're in, that's when they get to learn more about you.
Yeah.
So your big takeaways was raids, Discord promos, social media. Those are kind of your three main spots. Just
effort and uniqueness also.
Effort and uniqueness that applies to all three.
Not necessarily being unique to other people, but unique to yourself. And I've also been like, now since I have been working on YouTube, I have been working on a lot of thumbnails, which is another thing that I had to get into because of making everything myself pretty much.
You're on that YouTube rabbit hole. You're on that route.
Yeah. Basically, when I'm going live now, I would always post I put my link in my go live notification, but I always put an image of the game that I'm playing instead of just like the link that like the card that automatically generates from Twitter, mainly because people like images. Images on Twitter do better than just text, especially text with links. But the reason why I also put the link is because you want to make things as easy as possible for people.
Yep.
I can understand people putting like, yo, link in bio or link in the next tweet, mainly because, you know, the algorithm buries links sometimes. So you obviously want a very, you want a tweet that is going to reach people, but at the same time, clicking onto a link and going through the bio is a lot of effort for people that don't know you.
Yeah, no, I agree. Usability, right? And that's something that you probably also do with the game development. But we're running us a little bit out of time, so I want to make sure. How many questions do we have? No, it's all good. Like we said, we could do another one of these. I would love to have you on and continue to get more insights. How many more questions do we have, Steven?
I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna lock in 2 more if we can.
Okay, yeah. So 2 curated questions from Steven. Let's go.
Let's do it. We got one from Evander that came in last minute. Said, how do you decide on branding? I'm struggling for something unique.
That you can't force. There's no way to force anything. A lot of the stuff that I have, like a lot of people are like, I want the perfect stream right at the get-go. That's impossible. You can't, like, no one's gonna have the perfect stream, and you can delay forever trying to stream because you don't have the best follow alert, you don't have the best rate alert, you don't have the best logo, you don't have the best anything. But I mean, like, unless you know exactly what you want, which is very hard to do in the first place before you start doing anything, then, you know, you have to let it organically come. Like, I didn't have a lot of emotes. I still have emote slots open because I just don't, I'm not going to shoehorn anything into my stream. Like the cannoli only exists because I literally, the cannoli. This exists because I'm Italian and it's hilarious. But the cannoli only exists because I one day was hanging out with someone and I heard the friggin' music from Breath of the Wild, Kast's theme. I'm like, this is the best song ever. What the fuck is this? And like, I never played Breath of the Wild. And they're like, oh, it's this. Someone found me a 10-hour loop of that song. And the next CrossFit stream I had, I listened to that song. It's a 30-second song on loop for like 4 hours.
Oh,
never got old. Okay. So I put it as my Be Right Back music. And every time it would come on, people would start talking about, oh man, it sounds like I'm at a French or Italian cafe. And like Trixie Fox and Gemini would be like wheeling around the cannoli cart or a pizza cart or whatever, if anyone wants some treats on the Be Right Back. So I turned it into a Be Right Back cafe and I made a full art for it. And I made the background and everything like that. And then the whole idea was basically from Trixie saying cannolis. And so like, I should have a cannoli emote so people can spam that during my Be Right Backs. Like that was just organic. You can't think of that. That just doesn't happen. You're not being like, I'm going to do this because, you know, it's just perfect. It makes sense. No. Everything's a fucking meme, and you just need to find whatever it was in your channel that is great and then work with that. So, I mean, like, you just have to let it organic. Like, don't stress about finding this stuff. Let it come to you, because the more you stress about it, the worse it's going to make you feel. And whenever you shoehorn something in, it's not
going to
nice.
Feel right.
It's not organic. It doesn't, exactly. It's not going to feel right. You need that stuff to come to you. Like, it needs to be just boom into your head. Like, you can't just sit there and like, think it into your head. It just doesn't exist.
And if I can echo that point, I mean, that's similarly, you'll find that on my channel with the Kerboo and the Lulu and the daddy emotes, right? Like I would have never came up with any of that. They just became organically through the stream. So I think that's a huge point.
Like,
and not having to do everything at the very beginning, like you said. Like let it grow over time.
Let it come in. Like I didn't have a lot of full animated emotes for a long time, and I was gonna do a duo jam until I got scared shitless, and then I have the basically soul leaving my body, and I was gonna be like, oh, only like I can put the jam in, and I'll only bring this back for like scary games, and I'm like, no, fuck it. That is unique. No one has I'm dying emote. So there you go.
Exactly. And you said we got one more, Steven? Yeah, that's the emote right there in chat.
We got one more from Foe. It says, "Can we circle back to that butter metaphor?"
I don't know what the hell was going on.
Okay, so I felt like
going on.
What you were trying to say, if I can, try to help with the metaphor, is that it was like the frosting of the cake, right? Like the substance was there, but it was the thing that made you different on the top, the thing that made it special. I think that's where I believe, is that what you meant by the butter thing? Because that's what I took out of it.
Honestly, I can't even remember. I know I made a horrible analogy, but like, yeah, no, I got nothing right. I got nothing. I'm sorry.
Well, dude, thank you so much for coming and hanging out with us today. It really
Anyways,
does.
man, it was a lot of fun.
It's so
Sorry
fun.
I went
It's
2
so
hours.
insightful. No, there's nothing to be sorry about. I mean, I absolutely enjoyed my time with you here. I hope that people in the chat also found something that they could take away, like just something that they could bring to their streams if they're a streamer, or something that they can understand better about streamers and about your journey, and how it's not always this moment of greatness where you're suddenly a partner, right? Like you got to go through the entirety of what I would consider that, again, genuine and realistic journey, right?
Last thing I'll say is I did talk a lot about stuff, and I'm sure other people have other questions. At any point in time, you can send me a DM on Discord. I love talking to people. If you want more insight, if you had other questions, please do not hesitate to message me. I will always, like, I might not message you right back right away, or we might have a conversation over like a week, but I mean, like, I will get back to you, I promise. And I will try to help as best I can. Like I said before, I see myself as like, I hopefully people are inspired. People, I would love to mentor people if they have questions. Like I try my best at all times. So if anyone wants to chat, by all means, my door is always open. The figurative door on Discord is always open.
The figurative Discord door. And I take advantage of that. I'm one of those people. Well, Duo, thank you so much for being here, my friend. We're going to start wrapping up. If you want to just hang out in the chat and mute for a second.
Sure thing, man.
We'll raid out and everything. You were absolutely amazing, an absolute inspiration. And we'll be talking very soon. Friends, you got to be checking out Duo. All right, we're going to switch over here. Well, everybody, thank you so much for staying tuned with us. That was a longer one, but it didn't feel long. It actually felt rather short, in my opinion. We could talk with Duo for hours. Trophy hunter, veteran of Twitch, partner, cross-stitcher, just about everything you could think of. I'm feeling really short in my camera right now. So thank you so much for everybody that tuned in. Go and check out Duo. Fo, if we could get a quick shout-out for Duo in the chat real quick. You're doing yourself a true disservice. Kerb, you're fucking killing me, my dude. Oh my gosh. So we're gonna raid out in just a second. We do this podcast once a month. We are working on getting our next guest for April, so stay tuned for that. I love you all. Thank you so much for being here. We're just gonna take a quick look for a raid target and see who is available. And if you have any questions for Duo, like he said, feel free to reach out to him. If you have any questions for me, all my DMs are also always open. Feel free to reach out to me as well. I'm just seeing who is online that we can go say hi to. I want to keep it in the community. And if anybody has a suggestion, I would definitely take that. Let's see. Oh, you know what? I know where we're going. Also playing Kingdom Hearts like we were doing on Mondays, I believe is also part of our stream team. I love hanging out there when I have the chance. We're going to go take a quick look. Let's just make sure that they're not leaving. And Amegas Arts. Yes, we're looking good. Thank you all so much for being here. Thank you all so much for hanging out with me and hanging out with Duo. Friends, go check out DuoMTL. Hopefully I see you all again very, very soon. Big love, my friends. We will see you next time.